Geoffrey Giuliano is VIP number 4 in the Netflix series Squid Game, the South Korean production which has stormed the world with its laceration of greed and capitalism in a context of great violence, as people down on their luck are prepared to risk their lives to see their fortunes change. But only one person will survive and have that happen. And although it's still high, I noticed on the streaming charts in New Zealand, it's been out for a while, and with so much written about it, that we probably don't have to worry about spoiling the plot anymore. Greedy, callous, depraved men bankroll the whole game. Geoffrey Giuliano is a Bangkok-based actor and author. He's written a swag of books about the Beatles and has been in more than 24 films like Scorpion King 3, Kate with Woody Harrelson, and the more recent Peninsula Train to Busan. But the world hadn't really heard his name till now. He's an unusual character. Hello, Geoffrey. How are you?
Fine. Cool as a cucumber.
We'll talk about Squid Game and your many books on the Beatles, but long before all of that, you led a popular children's theatre troupe. You once had the role of Ronald McDonald in TV commercials and live appearances. 28 movies you've been in. Yours has been a varied career, Geoffrey.
George Harrison once said I was looking for a gig, and he's right. I've been looking for a gig a long time, And my theory of business, show business, and life is you pick up as many darts as you can hold, fling them in the general direction of the board, and something will stick.
Didn't George Harrison's wife Olivia say she would be happy?
Not
to see your face again or something.
Okay. George Harrison's wife. God bless her. She's not my favorite person. We don't, and vice versa. Yeah. She didn't like the fact that I wrote this book, Dark Horse. In fact, Legs Larry Smith, a good friend of George's from the Bonzo Dog Band, said to me, Geoffrey, rightfully or wrongfully, there's certain things we just don't tell George for fear of upsetting him. So, he was definitely the king. And when I did Dark Horse, it was a very honest book because I lived around George and I knew that I was in the same circle. And she didn't like it. I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but you hit a nerve there right off the bat with Olivia Harrison.
No, I just remember seeing it. What was the story with you at the start of COVID when you were really on your beam end, down on your luck, trying to get back to Bangkok? You had desperate times in recent times.
I've never heard the expression beam end. I think I know what it means. But I'll tell you what, I have always been involved with Indian culture. And I indeed wanted to take my son to India, where I had been going since the 90s, to understand something about Indian culture, philosophy, religion, art. So we live in Bangkok, and it was just a 4-hour ride to Delhi. So we got on the plane, we went there, and I took $2,000 with me because we were going to be gone for 2 weeks. I thought, well, that's plenty of money for 2 weeks. I didn't bring any credit cards because a lot of times in India you can't use credit cards, especially where we were going in a rural area. So the president, Modi, shut the airports with no notice whatsoever, and we were trapped there for 6 months, and the $2,000 ran out in 2 weeks, as I predicted, and we had no money for 6 months. Now, people say go to the American embassy. Yeah, but Eden didn't have his American passport with him. It was locked up in Bangkok. So what am I going to do, leave my son in India? And conversely, the Thai government said, Eden can come back, but not you. So we had to wait to be airlifted out 6 months later. And we were poverty stricken. We were literally we were waiting in lines with beggars. We're all beggars at the gates of God. So that's okay. We were there with the beautiful beggars there, and we had to live like them. So my son saw India. If that was the end game of my son seeing India, he saw India for sure.
He saw a lot of peanuts, didn't he? I read you were living on peanuts, and you wore this.
Yeah, that's just kind of hyperbole from the press. Love to get, I've made some movies, so whenever I pretty much do anything that attracts the attention, it goes viral. I don't know why. I'm just that kind of what my mother used to call a trouble magnet.
You've described the reaction you've got from Squid Game as unreal and a bit like Beatlemania, which is apt, of course. Going into Squid Game, was there any anticipation it would be so globally big?
No, absolutely not. Look, here's the deal. The public has never noticed me in 28 movies. My family noticed me, and the industry noticed me to the extent that they would offer me another film. But I never had any kind of public adulation until now. When I went there, I thought it was a gig. Now, they paid me more money than I normally get, like quite a bit more money. I found that curious. But it had happened before with a really good movie that I think, more proud of than Squid Game, because it's such a stylized acting exercise. But what I do is a sort of naturalistic acting, as you can see, and now on Netflix in a movie called Peninsula Train to Busan. I play what I always play, a hoodlum. So I had been there for that and done very well. People were very happy with that, and so they do what they do in show business. They called me back.
Why did they want you, out of interest? Do you know?
I'm a really good actor, and I can play any kind of weird character.
You say appearing on Squid Game took me from absolute total obscurity, and someone got you to send her your autograph so she could have it tattooed on her arm. But the funny thing is, I mean, you play a hideous person. It's bizarre. You play a repulsive individual. So why does that get acclaim?
Well, everybody likes the bad guy. It's okay, and it makes sense to get acclaim. And people tattooing themselves with my name. There's 2 fan clubs, one in Iraq called The Golden Mask, which is for me. And there's another one on Facebook called VIP4's Squid Game Universe. I deal with fans all the time. Here's my theory. There's 14 stars, principal cast, as my contract says, in Squid Game. 1 through 13 are Korean. They don't speak English. They live absolutely in the bubble of Korea. They're off to new projects now. They got paid between $2 million and $500,000 as it sort of went down the line. That ended at $500,000. I got nowhere near that, although I did very, very well for me. So, of the principal cast, I'm the only one you can talk to. Go try to talk to the others. They did one gig on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. You know, it wasn't fun. It wasn't, you know, they're a little stiff in my opinion. Anyway, God bless them. They've done a lot for me. So there's an old saying, how do you make an actor complain? Give them a job. So I never complain about anything. But I have my observations, you know. So I'm the only one you can talk to. That's what I'm trying to say. But, you know, look, it's the spotlight of the media that is on me. So, you know, I have to try to behave.
Yes, the spotlight of the media, because fame is the two-edged sword. There's a stoush you had in a supermarket, old footage of that on social media, some ads you did for finding Thai brides. They've sort of come back to haunt you as they do the rounds on social media.
Yeah, well, you know, you've been very kind enough to bring up Olivia Harrison and the grocery store and the Thai brides. We've already been through Olivia Harrison. Okay. So it said, Mr. Giuliano dates Thai women or something very similar to that. I'm married to a Thai woman. I live in Thailand. I've lived here for 20 years. I wasn't advocating prostitution or human trafficking. I was hired by a dating service, one of the most expensive, respectable. I'm sorry, it's not a dating service. It's a marriage bureau. All right. And I was hired as an actor to be their spokesman and paid very well. That's what actors do. We take jobs when we're offered them. It's a constant search for work. I make no apologies. I fail to see anything wrong with those advertisements I did about that subject. And the content of those was me dispelling rumors about Thai women. So I look at it another way. I think people that have a problem with that they're the ones that have some kind of a issue. I think it's maybe a little racist towards Thai women. What? I mean, are Thai women any different than Russian women or American women or women from Utah? I don't think so. So why are you picking on Thai women? Not guilty there. That's just nonsense. No, it's not a two-edged sword. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever comes down the pike with me is fine. You know, I've been working for this for 60 years. Bleep. I'm over 60. So it's taken me a long time to get here, you know. And so I'm fine with it. I don't have any problems about any of it. It's better than not being famous. Okay, there's perks that come with this for my family.
So you were in Peninsula Train to Busan, and the director saw you and thought, I'll get this guy for Squid Game. What were your thoughts about the Squid Game concept? Can you remember when you first heard the idea?
Okay, we aren't told the idea. Now, part of that, I think most of it, was a security issue, that they don't want to just give some guy that's there for a week shooting the whole script. Maybe I'll sell it, or maybe I'll give it to the tabloids, or give it to you, whatever. So I only got my sides. I didn't know anything about it. I saw those guys in the pink suits with the guns when we came in the helicopter shot. By the way, there's no helicopter there, folks. It's all CGI. We're just in a field with huge, big fans blowing our hair. And the guys were lined up. Anyway, so that's, I didn't know anything about it. And, I cared about doing my little section as well as I could. So I don't know. And I've never watched it. It's not something I would watch.
Really?
I didn't care when I was, I didn't care then. I'm just, one of the things I guess people like and also disdain about me is I'm honest in some sense. I don't care about Squid Game. I didn't watch it. I would never watch it because I'm too busy to watch anything. There's Neil Innes, my old friend from the Monty Pythons, used to say to me, there's two kinds of people in this world, them that watch TV and them that make TV. I'm a guy that makes TV. I'm busy every minute, and I contacted you at 4 a.m. I've been waiting here since 4 a.m. So, I'm just a busy guy, and I don't have time to watch TV. I'm not a teenager.
In the series, of course, for people who haven't seen it, you're a billionaire bankrolling the deaths of several hundred sad and pitiful people in this life and death game, and only one of them is allowed redemption. And now you have a real life version of it. So you knew that much. You knew kind of what your part was.
Yeah. Oh, I understood that. I didn't know about the masks until they put it on me. They had sent me something weird about what are the dimensions of your eyes. Well, what the hell is that? And I just said half an inch. Well, apparently it's more than half an inch, because when they put that mask on me, I couldn't see anything. And that, if you remember, there's a part where we all come down the stairs, but you don't see me coming down the stairs because we weren't allowed. They said, okay, come down this big stairs now and don't touch the handrails and come like right down with a brisk pace. And me standing, and it was linoleum, and we had new shoes on. And I said, excuse me, yes, I'm not doing that. What do you mean you're not doing? Oh, I can't see, man.
Have you heard from anybody in Squid Game since? Were they surprised and stupefied by because the receipts, the success is enormous, the receipts must be too.
Netflix made $900 million on this. There's 14 principal cast. If you ask any 5 people in the world sort of what they remember about Squid Game, one of those things will be that guy, that disgusting old guy that had no pants and shows his butt. So I figure that of that 900 million, well, let's see, my participation in that show might have come to, I'll be conservative, $10-15 million. They just said, well, don't try to monetize this. And I said, yeah, okay, I won't. So my world tour starts next week.
Seriously?
No, it starts December 11th. Right. December 11th, I start a world tour, which is unceasing. There's a Chinese actress called Bai Ling. Bai was in a movie called The Scarecrow. And how long ago was that? Like 25, 30 years ago, where Jason Lee got shot. She's still on these Comic-Con tours. And my daughter's great friends with her, and she spoke. And she says she makes about $300,000 a year on these Comic-Cons. So I've gotten myself an agent in London, and I'm going to do a non-stop forever tour of Comic-Cons, because as I said to you earlier, my brother, if you want Squid Game, you can only come to me, because I'm the only one who's ever going to promote it. It's,
You are in a singular position, that's right. Hey, when did your fascination with the Beatles begin? Because you've written 32 books on them.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you when it began, when I saw him on Ed Sullivan.
1964.
And I got paid a lot of money. I think $9 million from 1984 to 2006. Really? Yeah.
$9 million.
Cumulatively, not at one time, but from 1984 to 2006. I didn't know this until many years later when I was speaking to my then agent. I said, how much did I make? He said, you made around about $9 million. It was a nice ride. And I'll tell you, John Lennon once said, miserable rich is better than miserable poor. So, and I can attest to that.
You'll be interested in Peter Jackson's doco looking at the last days of the Fab Four or not?
Of course I am. Is he from New Zealand?
He is,
Peter
indeed.
Jackson? Okay, so that's why you brought it up. You got a nice prime minister over there, too. She's fantastic.
She's from New Zealand, too.
Yeah, I figured that. But she kicked COVID's ass pretty good there, and she doesn't take any crap from anybody, so I really like that. And she's a lovely, genteel woman as well. So God bless you there. You're like, I suppose I should come there. Everybody's been telling me for years you got to go to New Zealand. I believe my Hare Krishna brothers and sisters have quite a presence in New Zealand, from what I hear.
Yes, they're around the place. No, there'd be tons of people you could meet. I'm surprised you weren't asked to consult on this Beatles project, because, gosh, 32 books worth of knowledge, that's a lot.
Well, I wrote those books before there was the internet. So there's quite a few mistakes in there that you wouldn't have now, because now you can put in what time of the day was Love Me Do released, and it'll say, 11:34 and 23 seconds, We didn't have that. We had to go to libraries and microfiche on newspapers and go interview people around the world, which was very interesting. There's quite a few mistakes that wouldn't be there if I had written those books in the era of the internet. So, that's the biggest confession I'll ever make. But, to be fair with people, they're great books. I did a lot of in-person interviews, many, 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 with all kinds of people, including Paul McCartney and his family, and John Lennon's sister I wrote a book with.
Last question. Do you think that they'll make a Squid Game 2, and would you be interested?
Of course they will. Of course they will, and of course I would.
Right.
Come up with another last question. We can't leave it there.
What sort of last question would you like?
Do you think that your country would be interested in me coming there on tour and discussing Squid Game and meeting people and that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, of course, you can't get in at the moment. So that's a kind of hypothetical question.
That's hypothetical. Well, the minute I sent you a poster today for my first appearance in Bangkok, the minute it was announced that I was appearing, an actor from Squid Game is appearing, I tell you, man, my agents and managers were inundated with requests from every conceivable country, except, I believe, New Zealand. Maybe they have better taste than that, more common sense.
You'll be looked after financially the rest of your life. Hey, great to talk to you. Great to talk to you.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing up Olivia Harrison. That's always a treat.